Welcome, acolytes. As you can see, Rev has some opinions about Ubisoft Director attacking gamers again. This just won't end. But yeah, let's just see.
So today we're going to be once again talking about the historic downfall of Ubisoft. There's been a lot of recent events, including some new...
You know what? I am happy about this. This is good. Ubisoft deserves to be cut down a bit. And I am happy it finally happens.
ones we're going to cover in this video, including some more bad PR generated by public statements from one of its employees. But ironically, right now we're witnessing a giant spike in Ubisoft's stock. One of the biggest...
Ooh, I didn't know that. I just knew it falls down, but the spike?
in the company's history. However, that has to do with something entirely different, and that's the fact that it appears Ubisoft is going to be bought out in a desperate attempt to save this company.
Ooh.
Now, before we get into the details of that, let's just remind ourselves where we're at with Ubisoft. A lot of people don't really know that 2023 was a disastrous year for Ubisoft. They had around a net loss of $500 million.
Oh, 500 million. I mean, there are a few billion companies, so one bad year shouldn't kill them off.
That year. Then we enter 2024, where they've had basically flop after flop after flop, leading to another 50% decrease in their market value.
Yes. Yes. This is good. They will lose billions because of it. Good.
Thanks to their absolutely terrible, their nightmare-inducing resume this year.
Yep.
Beginning, of course, with Skull and Bones, which was allegedly $850 million.
And it bumped so freaking hard. And you might mistake my happiness about them bombing for something malicious, but if you get served shit time after time after time again, yeah, sorry, no. If you bomb, I'm happy about it.
To develop, just to end up in the $10 bargain bin at Best Buy a few months later. Then we have Star Wars Outlaws selling just 1 million copies in its first month.
I mean, just for Ubisoft, that's not a lot, but
game that presumably took hundreds of millions of dollars to
it definitively didn't pay off.
Develop. Then we, of course, have the news about Assassin's Creed Shadows. It is now delayed until February of next year. This was basically the last bullet in the chamber for Ubisoft this year. Now it's a part of next year's series of flops. And on top of that, there's
good
rumors out there that this delay isn't even going to be enough. They're going to have to probably delay it even further beyond that February mark.
Oh, you think so? Huh. No, I don't think they delay it too far away. Or maybe if the drama keeps on going, then maybe, but no.
And that's from a stem of rumors that an insider at Ubisoft have been sharing, and that includes many allegations about the workplace environment and how dysfunctional the company is, and how they very clearly, according to this insider, prioritize virtue signaling and politics over creating games that people will enjoy. And that's really where we've left off things recently. Like, you know, for the 100th time, I'm going to say, oh, things can't get worse. And of course, it does. And this is the most recent set of drama here. And it begins with Stevie Chazard.
Yeah, he looks like it already.
So this monetization director at Ubisoft would go onto LinkedIn and share this absolute disaster of a post recently. And of course, it's very ironic that the monetization director is making something that is clearly not in the monetization interest of the company by basically insulting all of their customers.
I'm gonna be honest, this is just what you expect right now. It's not even like those kinds of people, like those freaks, are just there to make your life miserable. They don't care about doing something good. They care about that you specifically are miserable.
and also people within the gaming industry. So let's read this because I genuinely believe the attitude of this individual represents more people at Ubisoft and really is the reason why they are failing so badly. So he begins by saying, I rarely post on social media, but today I am sad, ashamed, and sad.
Ugh, come on already. Ugh. Okay.
The gaming industry is rough at the moment, we all know it, but seeing how
No, it's not. It's not. The indie industry is actually booming. Good games are getting money shoved into them like nothing else. So no, it's you. It's purely on you.
in quotes, gamers react on social medias wishing ill fate to companies and people like is sad, and not
As you do with the gamers. So it's a giving and taking.
only towards Ubisoft. Even though it's always the vocal minority that expresses themselves on social media, I was hurt and ashamed to be a part of this community.
I'm gonna be honest, if you don't like it, just piss off at this point. You don't have to infiltrate the gaming community and just make it worse for wear. Just fuck off then. If we wanna be toxic, we're gonna be toxic. Simple as that. And by the way, most people aren't even toxic, except you go on a League of Legends match. Damn that shit. Oof. Or a COD match. Yeah, get in that. But most people just don't give a fuck about you. Especially solo players. Solo players are one of the most chill people I know, so...
What is even more revolting is coming on LinkedIn and seeing the same comments from people within the industry, on top of exposing yourself as a clearly non-decent human being. You are affecting thousands of employers or employees that are already impacted by all of the hate, despite doing their best to deliver.
And most of them are thinking like you, so I don't give a fuck about them. Every single one of them. If the person that got fired thinks like you, I really hope they are fired and never find a job in this industry again. Because I don't give a fuck if they have enough to eat at this point. I just don't care. I just want my fucking games. I want my films back. I want my freaking normality back. I do not care about freaks like you anymore. If you die, you die. If you cannot afford anything, you cannot afford anything. If you cannot find a job, you cannot find a job. At this point, I don't care. Just fuck off. Get away. I don't even know why you're hired, to be honest.
Deliver incredible experiences. How can you wish a company to fail simply because they do not cater to you or that the product does not please you is beyond me.
The product also doesn't please you. The company doesn't please you. And the community you're in doesn't please you. And still, instead of just ducking out of it, you go in, write toxic shit, and are still in it for some reason. Think a bit.
We are all on the same boat. Please, please, please.
No, we're
stop
not.
spreading hate. We should all uplift each other instead of bringing each other.
I would even agree with that. We're all in the same boat. Stop spreading hate. And we should uplift each other. But not freaks like you. Freaks like you should be done. Made an example of. And made an example to the degree you wish every single one of us to. Times 2.
Down. Holy soy. Like, first of all, are you okay,
Holy
Stevie?
soy.
Like, dude, invest in a journal, not, basically spilling your guts out on social media, because this stuff will be weaponized against you. You're basically shaming your potential customers and gamers in general by saying all these awful things. On the one hand, you also act like there's this horde of angry gamers that are just going out there for blood. But then in the next statement, you say they're the vocal minority. So what are they exactly? You're trying to downplay it. Well,
yeah. And by the way, if it was a vocal minority, just fuck him. Tell him to fuck off. How do you think I handle my haters? I just delete them. And I delete their comments. And if they comment again, I have the traffic. They're more mad and shorten their life for it. Win-win for me.
clearly they're not the vocal minority. They are the majority because everything coming out of Ubisoft this year is flopping extremely hard. So clearly there's some merit to what these gamers are saying and their criticisms that they're providing for you. And this sort of like coddling and participation trophy type attitude here. Like, yes, these people might be doing their best, but you know, at the end of the day, if it's not a good product, people aren't going to buy it and people are going to criticize it.
Correctly. If it was a good product, nobody would give a fuck. Simple as that. If you produce a good product, a good game, nobody gives a fuck.
You're in the gaming industry. You should know that this is going to happen. You don't just get pats on the back because you tried your best. You need to produce something that's actually good.
Correct, because we are like, we're just, the money isn't worth as much as it was. Let's be honest. All of our lives got impacted by this. We are actually just flaunting right now. And right now, everybody's looking for quality, not quantity. And if you just cannot give me the quality for the buck, you're fucked. Simple as that.
And on top of that, the part that's really crazy is the part where he basically throws other members of the industry under the bus. He tries to single them out and say, if you're agreeing with these nasty gamers, you're just as bad as them and you're a non-decent human being. I mean, imagine being the colleague of someone like this who dares to criticize very apparently bad things in the industry.
I'm gonna be honest. If I was on his place and I didn't have any influence over the entire film, I would be looking for a different job, to be honest. At a point, you just have to accept this and either do something against it, run with the mill, just get what you have to get and run and go away.
Just to be called a non-decent human being by Stevie here. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And this whole talk about we need to uplift each other and come together. Well, first of all...
Yeah, but you're an undecent human being.
This is about as divisive of a post as you can possibly make. It's divisive against gamers. It's divisive against members of the industry. But on top of that, we know what inclusion and coming together looks like for companies like Ubisoft. It's their own version, right? We see from their own website, the first thing they want you to...
Oh, this game was... Why are you showing... Ref, come on. Come on. This game was decent. I don't remember the name from it. But I played it with a friend. A friend of mine got it. God damn it, man. Come on. At least do this game solid. The people actually made a good game.
Know about their company is that they create games and experiences that push representation and embed diversity and inclusion into everything they do. Meanwhile,
God
here's a
damn it.
recent...
Yeah, the only good game they released, it just gets shoved in the other shit. Come on.
It's an example of something that contradicts that. We have that mentorship program that people have been talking about, where basically they bar men from applying.
Yeah, identify as a woman or a non-binary individual. I'm gonna be honest, they should be sued to oblivion for that.
Which shockingly turns out to be illegal in most countries, according to Legal Mindset, an actual attorney. Because
Yep, it is. But if you do not sue them for that, they just get off scot-free.
Yeah, who would have thought? Wacky, right? That barring an entire gender from applying to a career opportunity might be against the law in a lot of countries. I know that is a wacky, shocking thing to behold. But yeah, that's one of many disasters going on, and that post by that monetization director is absolutely tone deaf and against any interest of the company, which ironically is seeing a little bit of a boost. So here's the last year at Ubisoft. You've seen this graph probably a million times with their stock. Big drop all year, hitting an all-time low recently in the entire history of the company. But then, some life. What's this? A little jolt in the stock price here. Well, it comes from a buyout. So basically there is a proposed buyout, and now we've seen a 30% stock increase over the past 24 hours. You can see this big jump right here. Reportedly, this is the biggest jump in the history of their company. That's over 20 or 30 years. And yeah, there are some big things going on. you don't see this as a sign of something positive coming. It's more like the vultures are coming in because they see big changes coming. And this is the headline right here. Tencent, Guillermo family said to consider buyout of Ubisoft.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
Deliberations come after fall in game developers' share price. So yeah, it's not too surprising to see movement like this. This was inevitable. Like I said earlier in the video, at some point, something has to give. You can only lose so many billions of dollars and just burn through all that money before something major happens. And this has been in process for a while now. We saw this letter that was issued to the board of directors at Ubisoft, where basically a group of their shareholders gave out some options. And one of those pairs of options was to either A, sell the...
Wait a day before he continues. 40 to 45 euro per cell. That's enough.
the company, or B, make the company private. And it seems like Ubisoft might be doing both. And there was even more pressure mounted onto Ubisoft thanks to this headline from about a week ago where a Ubisoft activist investor said it has the support of 10% of the shareholders in the whole management tussle here, where under French minority law, if they get a certain percentage of these shareholders to get on board, they can force the sale of the company. And I think at this point, Ubisoft is starting to see the end, or at least a forced end, or some big decision that's going to be forced on them, like selling the company. And they are starting to consider this option that probably they shook their head at for a long time and thought, no way would it ever come to this. Well, I think they finally have reached the end.
Yep, they did. At some point, if it's fucked, it's fucked.
Something major.
But Tencent, god fucking damn it. I only heard bad things about Tencent.
Like this has to happen, where Tencent of all companies is going to come in and basically try to save them by not only grouping up with them, but also making the company private as a part of this partnership in a desperate attempt to save this company. Because like I said, how much further can you go down at this point if you're Ubisoft? And it gets even worse. So there's some predictions about what would happen if this partnership was made, if this buyout did happen. According to Insider Gaming, they're making predictions that we might see as much as a 30% to 40% layoff of their employees. So looking at Ubisoft's own website, they have 20,000 employees. So you'd be looking at 6,000 to 8,000 employees being laid off. That is insane to think about.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it had to happen at one point.
When it seems like they're already stretched thin, like despite having such an enormous amount of workers and so many assets, it seems like they're stretched thin all the time, including with Assassin's Creed Shadows. And according to that insider, they feel like they don't even have enough resources to finish that game in time for February because it's being used for other games that they're working on for the upcoming year. But yeah, to lose that much of their company, especially after a big buyout like that, things are going to be chaotic, very chaotic. And especially like what additional impact will that have on games like Assassin's Creed Shadows and other upcoming titles for 2025. But just looking at this website, like it all just makes sense, doesn't it? Like this is just something I noticed too, like right now, 90 nationalities and 65 spoken languages.
Huh?
Although we all speak Ubi. Ugh, they are just insufferable. But yeah, Ubisoft is in huge trouble. I think nobody is surprised by these events. It was inevitable at this point, but this is truly like, this is the Ubisoft we know is going to be changed forever. There's no other.
No, it's sad. Ubisoft wasn't there for a long, long time.
Choice at this point. Things have gotten so chaotic, and yeah, the reports are insane, but to be expected at this point. I mean, there's nothing that really can shock you with Ubisoft at this point. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, feel free to share.
Thank you, Ref. And as always, yeah, he's correct about it. Was just bad. Well, Tencent of all things. Good night, Acolyte.